Hello and welcome to IABM TV. Today I'm joined by Alan Hoff, Vice President Market Solutions for Avid. Alan, welcome to IABM TV.
Thanks, Ben. It's great to be here.
So, you're demonstrating more exciting innovations to your MediaCentral platform. Can you tell us about these?
Yes, well, as most folks are aware by now, we have this initiative called Avid Everywhere. It's really our strategy to create the world's first integrated platform, open platform for the media and entertainment industry. And we have many innovations that we're showcasing at the show here, progress that we've made since we announced it 3 years ago. The first is in the area of storage, which we'll talk a little bit more about, where we announced a couple of new capabilities in our Avid Nexus storage family. We also brought out new innovations in sports, where we're showcasing our 4K and UHD workflows in particular. We have new audio innovations that we're showcasing here at the show with new releases of Pro Tools. We also have great 4K performance playback that we're featuring inside Media Composer and a new release of Media Composer that we're showcasing at the show. But I think the most exciting innovation that we announced at the show is something we're calling a story-centric news workflow, which is really going to turn the way that news is created on its ear. News has historically been created in a very linear fashion, in a typical rundown fashion, and in this day and age where news organizations, just like any media companies, are having to really compete and struggle for viewers, they need to be wherever it is their possible audiences want to be consuming that news. So it's typically now on social media outlets, for example. I mean, news is more likely to be consumed in embedded format than in a scheduled 6 o'clock appointment, for example. So you really need to take a look at the way the stories are gathered, they're planned, they're created collaboratively, and then ultimately distributed. And so what we've done with our story-centric news workflow is it's comprised of the classic iNews, the MediaCentral UX interface to our MediaCentral platform, through a series of panes that help news organizations effectively swarm around the creation of a story, with the story at the center, which is really new, and it's nonlinear, and it's all about creating specific cuts on content for the various different outlets that content needs to be consumed, all with a gear towards driving ratings, driving engagement from the users, regardless of the platform that they're consuming it on. So that's really a big new thing for us here at the show.
And it's been well received?
It has been well received. It's funny, in conversations we've been having, it's like, so is it a feature? Is it a product? It's actually it's a workflow that goes across multiple products that's supported by a bunch of new feature development that's gone on. It's a whole new approach to the news creation, storytelling methodology.
That sounds very exciting.
Yeah,
so you've got a Premiere Pro extension panel that enables users of Premiere Pro to collaborate with other Avid users at an unprecedented level. How's that been received, and what benefits does that collaboration bring?
Well, it's been fantastically well received. We announced this at NAB this year, and Avid collaborating with Adobe, dogs and cats living together, what's going on, But it's strictly because this is what our customers are asking us for, and of course we are the most open platform in the industry now, and what better way to showcase that than to say, hey, you can choose whichever tool it is you're interested in most working with. The key here is to have as seamless a collaboration as possible for your creative team to deliver the best possible story in the shortest amount of time. For some folks, that means using the Adobe Premiere Pro client. So what we've done with this connector that connects directly into the MediaCentral UX is it windows into Premiere, and I can see access to all of the assets that I have on the MediaCentral platform inside Interplay, and I can drag and drop those assets into my Premiere Pro timeline, create something, and then bring that timeline right back into Interplay. It's as if it's a first-class member of the entire Avid workflow, because it is. And so, as you can imagine, customers have loved this.
Yeah. I can imagine it makes everything a whole world easier for them.
It does.
So storing and managing media presents challenges as the size of files increases and the volume increases. So I just want to talk to you about Avid Nexis, and what it does and how it fits into this.
Okay, well, thanks. You know, we just came from the Olympics where they created orders of magnitude more content. NBC and actually the International Broadcast Center, the amount of content that was created there just dwarfed what was done just for 4 years ago at the London Summer Olympics. This is just an example of the explosion of content, and of course the associated file sizes when we're talking 4K, 8K, etc. So it's really driving the need for really space-efficient, high-density storage. And so at IBC here, we've expanded the Nexus family, which we had also launched at IBC, with a big kahuna called E5, which is our largest of our enterprise-class storage devices. What this does is it provides a degree of density and bandwidth, likes of which the industry's never seen. So, for example, in one 17RU configuration, which is just a sample configuration, you can get 1.4 terabytes worth of storage and 9.6 gigabytes of bandwidth. You can have hundreds and hundreds of connected clients working on that concurrently, and along with the new high availability features we've added, what has resulted is a configuration, an offering that when compared to our prior offering of the ISIS 7500, for example, it's 300% higher capacity, 600% higher performance, it's twice as secure and protected than it's ever been, and it's 1/3 less the cost. So this is, well, what you expect in the traditional progress of technology. It should be better, faster, cheaper, and never has that been more true than with Avid's Nexus family.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we recently, IABM and Avid, hosted a webinar where we discussed the recent Frost and Sullivan white paper on software-defined storage.
Yes.
The webinar is available online if anybody wishes to watch it. But for those that missed the webinar, what were some of the key findings from that paper?
So thanks for bringing that up. You know, I just spoke a lot about the hardware attributes of Nexus, but of course the secret of Nexus is the fact that it's the world's first and only software-defined storage platform for media. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it is. Its software configurability is what is key. It's a capability that we refer to as dynamic virtualization, which basically means that anybody running a content factory can on the fly reconfigure the way the storage is allocated depending on the needs of a given project or production. Yet by doing this, say I have a 4K production going over in this suite here, I need to guarantee my performance that it's not going to drop frames. The aforementioned configuration I mentioned, which had 1.4 petabytes of storage and the kind of 9.6 gigabytes of throughput, that's a lot of throughput. That translates to 2,000 HD streams at DNxHR or 500 4K streams at DNxHR. But I still need to ensure that that performance is guaranteed so that I'm not dropping frames as I'm working in these high rates. So what software-defined storage means is I can reconfigure that and adapt to the needs of a given production, ensuring that that 4K session is going to go off without a hitch while I'm having simultaneous HD, for example, productions going on in the suites next door. That kind of flexibility is really unprecedented. Before, you used to have to do a lot of recabling and reformatting, and it was very time-consuming and arduous, and you'd have to bring the whole system down to do it. This can be done on the fly, and one of the key things we discussed in the webinar was that those capabilities combined with common off-the-shelf storage is the way the future needs to go. That generic storage just would never be appropriate for the kinds of rigorous demands of media and entertainment workflows. So Nexus is really combining the best of both worlds in terms of that software reconfigurability, the peace of mind of extremely highly redundant configuration, and just unlimited capacity effectively.
So it seems that, listening to everything you've been saying, that the main aim is to provide better efficiency, faster turnaround for your clients. Would you say that's one of the key things that they're looking for?
This is such a competitive world that we find ourselves in. We have the amount of content that's been produced has quadrupled in the last 10 years, and the number of devices and outlets and channels that are available has gone 10x in the last 10 years. And in order to cut through the clutter and be seen and to get your customers, your viewers to engage with your brand, you have to keep refreshing it, and you have to be able to repurpose it in the format that your consumers want to see it. The way you achieve that kind of volume, because your budgets haven't kept pace like they should, you have to be as efficient as ever. Efficient in the gathering, efficient in the production, and efficient in the distribution and repackaging of that content as quickly as possible. And so that's actually what Avid Everywhere and the whole Avid MediaCentral platform is designed to do. And I'll just mention, it's not just Avid's products. I mentioned Adobe earlier. We have an alliance program where we have partners from across the entire spectrum of vendors out there, some of which have products in the same categories that Avid has. I mentioned the editor, right? But that's because our customers have already invested in a certain type of workflow or a certain type of product. We want to make sure we can embrace that so that they can have the most efficient workflows to deliver the content that is demanded in this very competitive world.
Okay, so Alan, Avid have been IABM Platinum members. What was it that made you want to be Platinum members?
Well, really, it's a lot about what I just mentioned with our alliances. So what being Platinum members of IABM means for Avid is that it gives us a whole nother way in which we can connect with other vendors in the industry, discuss commonly faced challenges that we're facing, the standards that are needing to be surfaced and discussed, and it's you know, the IABM breakfast panel, for example, that we participate in both at NAB and here at IBC is a great opportunity for us to hear from the other leaders of the industry and also be heard as well, because we feel like we are judged by the company we keep, and we feel that IABM members are the cream of the crop.
So partnerships and collaboration is one of the most important things.
Absolutely.
Overall.
Yeah,
Alan,
yes,
thank you
indeed.
very much for your time.
My pleasure, Ben.
So lots of exciting things coming from Avid. You can find out more at avid.com.